culture of collaboration with the
Getting a little collaboration from our standpoint. I mean, that's really it. We are involving those closest to the process, implementing their ideas, and that's how we're driving costs up.
and then they're getting the contract with you to build.
Yeah, I mean, it's typically, so you do business with.
Okay.
So the Houston example, those are current trades. We brought them in, we're using their ideas on our design.
I would say the same thing as Tony. It's the idea of collaborative design means that everybody's involved in the process, and you need to cut costs out directly. Cutting costs can be cutting costs for both parties. It needs to benefit you as well as benefit us, the builder, to really work. And again, you know, a lot of times we get into this competitive environment and we forget that in order for all of us to survive, we better figure out ways to do this better. And so that's what the concept is. And this is no different than really the design-build philosophy in the commercial industry. What we need to do is, the way it used to work in the home building industry, the residential industry, is we'd take a set of plans, we'd send it to the HVAC guy, we'd send it to the drywall guy, we'd send it to the plumber, we'd send it to the truss manufacturer, we'd send it to this one, that one. They'd all redline a set of plans with all these different changes, none of them talking together. So one guy may have a great idea that impacts the other trades, you know, in a negative fashion, and it just goes round and round and round. And that's not the concept here that we're talking about. We're talking about doing that up front in the design process, everybody in a room together, and figuring out what better ways to build the mousetrap.
And let me add too, it's not always, from my standpoint, it's not always about the total dollar amount on the contract. What we look at a lot is the way that it plays through the cycle time in the house. So if we can turn that house faster based upon some efficiencies by bringing people in on the front end, working out different schedules, working out different delivery times and things of that nature, we pull 3 or 4 to 5 days out of the house, there's a cost savings there. There's a contribution margin, however you want to look at it. So the price up front might be just a little bit more expensive, but if you do the math all the way through the system, it actually makes better sense to do it that particular way.
Ray, I've got a question here.
Okay, Paul, here, take the mic.
We were unable to get a kind of a housing forecast from our economist, and so I'm going to try again. Each of you are a part of a larger organization with a national picture, so can you give us your respective outlooks kind of on how you see 2010 rolling out?
From our standpoint, we feel the market stabilized. We expect 2010 to be slightly better than 2009.
Yeah, I would echo the same comments, Paul. I would say the word at Hovnanian is we're cautiously optimistic. We are actually in the process of buying land for the first time. I think most home builders are doing that. That's a good sign. The bad side of that is the banks and the landowners in many cases haven't come back to the reality of what that land is really valued at with the depressed prices that we've seen. But we are very optimistic. We believe it's going to be a difficult year next year. We think it will be better than 2009, but we think it's still going to be a challenging year compared to the past. We are optimistic long term. We are very optimistic. We think that there's going to be some really great pent-up demand, and this market will turn around. It's just a matter of when. Not, you know, it's going to happen, and so we're trying to be as optimistic as possible. We see it as a cycle, Paul. We think it's going to be market by market. We don't think this will be just, we're going to see the country take off. We just don't see that. This is very market specific. We're already seeing pockets of some increased activities. Another thing that the economist, I should have said when I raised my hand before, we are actually seeing in some of our markets that we're able to raise prices slightly. That's the first time in a long time. And that's a very healthy sign. That's not in many places, and so, you know, that's encouraging.
So any of you that need a price increase, go to KW.
Well, with that, guys are in, we're trying to become profitable, so don't bother coming.
We feel the same thing. It's, this has been it's been a very tough year. We are seeing land activity. We're seeing a lot of deals come across the table. We unfortunately, in the Phoenix market, we've seen a few private builders and folks pull out of the market, so we've seen some of the deals they used to have on the books. 2010, we feel we're at the bottom of the market. We feel we're going to bounce around quite a bit. But we're, to borrow the phrase, we're cautiously optimistic. I've talked to some of the other divisions, and we have conference calls and we talk about it. There's activity out there. One of the things we're seeing on community level from a sales perspective is when people are coming in now, they're not really just asking about what kind of deal we got. They're asking about, what kind of churches are around here, what kind of stores are around here, what kind of, more living questions and what kind of investment can I make. So that's, in and of itself tells me a lot that there's people out there shopping. Don't know how long it's going to last or when it's actually going to kick in, but we feel good about 2010, better than 2009.
I think we have time for a couple more questions. Anybody has one? No?
Ray, if I could just make a comment too.
Sure.
I think one of the things that would be of interest to all of you, that's something CAD Naming Companies is doing, and I'm sure Tony's done it in the past, and maybe John, but one of the things we're trying to do right now is be more proactive in programs like the Build America programs. We've done 3 homes with that program where we're actually building homes and testing new products, truly testing these products as a part of the system, so that when we do move forward with these higher performing homes, we'll have a better understanding of what really those products are that we want to be using in our homes and not be forced into using products that we haven't tested out. We work with the NAHB Research Center on some of these homes, and that's been a tremendous opportunity. We work, for example, we're going to use ProBuild as an example on one of these homes in New Jersey. We actually redesigned the truss configuration on the homes so that we could have a more effective way of running the HVAC system throughout the home. And instead of it costing us more money, what we did was we were able to do it at basically no cost, or actually a savings to us. Those testing of homes and those type of projects are really, really critical to the success of our industry. And so, if you're asked to participate in one of these homes, and I'll tell you what, our trade partners have been fabulous on these homes. We have another one that we're doing in North Jersey now, and we're going to be doing one in California shortly. And we're doing this, like I said, with the Build America program. Department of Energy is involved in these programs, the NAHB Research Center. But if you're asked to participate in one of these pilot type homes, or really we call them test homes, participate in those. They are great learning experiences. We use a lot of companies. We brought in all our partners, big partners and the small partners. HVAC equipment companies, iLevel, for example, ProBuild I mentioned. Everybody becomes a part of that process. And we built one in New Jersey called the Jockey Club, and we actually, through the technologies that we used, we increased the efficiency of that home from a HVAC cooling and heating perspective. That home was 42% better than what we were building to currently in New Jersey. So it shows you that it can be done, and we did it very cost effectively by testing out new products, using trade partners' knowledge and expertise to really do it the right way.
Well, okay, I would like to thank Tony and Mark and John for joining us. Maybe they'll come across the hallway and have a drink with us at the reception and the end of the auction. Please remember to fill out your evaluation